I'd be quite a bit higher on him, I think, and that is Dariq Whitehead, another guy who came in top 3 recruit on the ESPN Top 100. He's still not even 19. He's 6'6". He's a lethal shooter. Shot 43% from 3. So he's got the size. I think initially I had him around 15 or 16 maybe, and then we got the news that he has another foot injury which he suffered already this season, and that to me is a worry. 2 consecutive foot injuries. What does that do for his athleticism? What does that do for him moving forward? Because the shooting, excellent. Size, really strong. Like these are all really positives. But if that foot, even if like he doesn't really have another foot injury again, Keandre, my issue here with Whitehead is, does it sap a degree of athleticism? Does it sap a degree of some of the bursts that he might have, that this takes that sort of upper elite upside away from him? Because I've got no concerns with the shooting. Like, it's excellent. And I'm just a little worried. I think we see that draft range where someone had him at 34. That's just because they're really worried about that foot injury. So talk a little bit about your concern regarding these foot problems that Whitehead had this season.
Yeah, so I think you can kind of look at it one or two ways. So on one hand, we know that he had the initial foot surgery coming into the year and kind of worked back and had to acclimate himself to the lineup, and then was able to kind of fill the role around the Tyrese Proctors, the Jeremy Roaches that had already kind of formed roles, and did it at a great level. And, shooting was a big key for him coming into the year, and he, blew that out. It was excellent from there. So you can look at it that way as a guy who was battling through those injuries, and as he takes this next surgery, is able to maybe regain some of the stuff we saw from Vert in the burst, in the vertical ability, and being more of a complimentary scorer, and at least doing some things of that nature on the wing. Or you could look at it as a guy who is clearly piling up on certain foot injuries, which are very serious in this game. Of course, we won't know from the public sphere most likely like the degree of the injury. So I think on a team perspective, knowing how much it's going to affect it, or if it's going to linger, or those type of things, is going to be very important for his draft range and how confident you are in him being able to make a full recovery, because he is a guy who is somebody who could still be in high school right now. Yeah. In that class. He is younger than some of those guys who are going to be in the 2024 class. So that would be kind of the key. So it's just kind of juggling that and what you feel about it. For me, I'm a little bit more on the positive side, or the optimistic side, in terms of him dealing with those injuries and being able to play through it and being able to kind of regain some of that down the line. I think I would still take him as a top 20 prospect, even with everything that we've kind of mentioned. But it is something that teams are going to do their due diligence and could swing him in a variety of ways.
Yeah, I've got him 20th at the moment as well, and that's probably 5 or 6 spots lower than I would have if it wasn't for this second surgery on his foot. But the age thing is really key. And I know I harp on about age all the time, but he's 2 years younger than Brandon Miller, save for about 2 or 3 months. Like, that's in 2 years' time, he could be, a guy that's coming out as a alleged freshman, like Miller or even the Thompsons. Like, though that's a huge difference. And I think he might be the second or third youngest player in this draft class, behind G.G. Jackson and maybe James Nagy. So he's got that on his side. So if it is, it is an issue with the foot for sure, and the surgeries, but even if it takes him 6-7 months to recover, he's going to be 19 by the time he's back from that second foot surgery. So plenty of time to, you're not missing all of his prime and all of his development. You are getting that little bit of a bonus of how young he is coming into this draft. Again, my worry with him is not that he will never recover from the injury, but does it sap just a little bit from the overall explosiveness that we saw from him before we head into the season? Because heading into this season, like, to me, maybe you speak to this if this is wrong, but it was like Scoot and Vic, the Thompsons, and Whitehead and Smith were probably the top 6 guys who were always in my head. These are the guys we're really looking at. These are the guys who could be easily top 10 players. And then obviously that changed as the season went on. But that's the sort of value that he sort of had in my head heading into the season.
Yeah, for sure. He was definitely one of those guys. I think even the people who were lowest on him or had some of those creation concerns, or at least at getting to the basket or being able to do a little bit more non-perimeter oriented or non-mid-range oriented, had him at like 10. So he was definitely supposed to be one of those guys, and that's there's good reason for it. Like, you go watch some of those Montverde games, him going toe to toe with everybody from Grady and Sunrise to IMG, Jarris Walker, Keontae George, all of them, and Jet Howard. He was stand out and won awards for a reason. So
In terms of you talk about creation, lack of creation. There's another wing who we're not going to talk about in this show, but Cam Whitmore, who's got real trouble with like a really low assist rate. Which one of these two is better at being able to like create something for others?
Yeah, in terms of like creating for others, I would probably say Dariq is more of a natural team playmaker. Like he's going to make reads a little bit quicker and has shown certain things there. I think Cam's ability to get downhill and score is going to open up certain things, being able to develop as a playmaker that Dariq may not have, of course, going back on some of the unknowns with the injuries and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. You kind of have to juggle certain things. I think long-term, I'd probably pick Cam, but in terms of like just, swinging the ball, doing some of the little things, Dariq is probably a little bit more naturally inclined there.
Let's move more.